On this episode, we sat down with Heather Zynczak. She is the CMO of Pluralsight. She's been there for about 2.5 years. Before that, she was the CMO of Domo and actually took them from 0 to 100 million. And before that, she spent 6 years at SAP as the Global VP of Marketing. I learned a ton in this 20-30 minutes with her, and I know you're going to too. Can't wait to bring this episode to you. Heather Zynczak, she's the CMO of Pluralsight.
So I'm super excited. So I usually I do a little prep. I'm a light prepper.
That's fine.
But I got some notes.
It's a lot of notes for a light prepper.
This is a lot of notes. This is like, well, one of these is like I've copied your LinkedIn bio.
Oh, it's pretty long. My PR team was wordy.
They were, yeah, they were. Your PR team was they did a great job. They were very worried about this.
They were thorough. on the LinkedIn, they were thorough.
They didn't like that I said, oh yeah, the bio is great. They didn't like that I said we don't share the notes, we don't do prep. But anyway, I'm super excited to talk to you because your background is exactly why we do this show, which is like, the point of Coffee with a CMO is to talk to CMOs, obviously, hey,
Yeah.
who have seen it and who have gone through this journey. And like, I think the audience for this show is CMOs listen, but also everybody kind of in their career in marketing to learn about what you've done. I think all right, so today you're the CMO of Pluralsight.
That's right.
Before this, you were I'm just going to replay your bio. Before this, you were CMO at Domo.
That's right.
Before that, you were Global VP at SAP.
That's right.
So those are big companies. A lot of time, 6 years, 4 years, 2 years, which is amazing because in this world that we live in today, it's like most people are at a company for a year.
My sweet spot seems to be around 5 years.
Yeah.
Don't tell my current boss that, because I'm only there 3 more
well,
years.
That means you got 3 more
I
years.
got 3 more.
You got 2 years. So I want to go back. What I'm interested in is like your background is finance from Texas. Is this how you do it?
Finance, yeah. Go
Okay,
Horns.
Go Horns.
Finance and accounting.
And then an MBA from Wharton.
Which also very financial.
Did you think that would be the profile like to be a CMO? Did you know?
If you would have told me early in my career I was going to be a CMO, I wouldn't have believed you. I never actually thought I'd be in marketing.
What did you think a CMO did at that time?
I didn't even know there was a CMO.
Right.
I would have made up some letters, a chief mama officer, I didn't know. When I graduated college, this is going to date me a little bit, I got out with a finance and accounting degree, and I went into finance and accounting because I just love numbers.
Yeah.
I love math. I loved analytics. And I took a microeconomics class, which is really into the numbers and statistics, and I just thought this is amazing, and ended up in finance and accounting. And when I graduated, this whole computer thing was just taking off, and packaged software was on the rise, and I went to Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture, because they taught people how to code. So I learned how to code. So my first job, I was an engineer. I coded. And coding really appealed to me because it's numerical, it's analytical, it's numbers oriented.
Yeah.
And one thing I always talk about, how I made my way eventually to marketing, I don't think I would have been in marketing at that time, like in the early 90s, because marketing has changed so much in the last 25, 30 years. It now is very analytical, very numbers driven, very, you can test everything, you can measure everything. I'm not the most creative person in the room. And I don't have to be creative with today's marketing.
So I was going to ask you about that. This is where I want to dive in a little bit, which is like, how do you, if that's your skill set, how do you think about the skill set of a CMO? Because I've seen CMOs from all different kinds, right? Somebody that I look up to is Shannon Brayton, who's a CMO at LinkedIn.
I love her.
She's in the High Growth Handbook. She's like a calm CMO, and then had to bring in demand gen people to be on her team. Like, do you think, is there a right profile for a CMO, and did you think about what you needed to bring around you and with your team?
Yeah, I think there's 3 things, and I'll come back to Shannon in a minute because I'm a huge fan.
Okay.
We met at a CMO event before she was the CMO of LinkedIn.
Yeah. For the record, Shannon, I don't know you, but I would love to have you in this chair next, all right?
She's interesting, and she has one attribute I'm going to talk about, which is, or 2, they're really important. But I think there's 3 paths to, if you look at most CMOs, where they came from. You could come up through the product side, which I did. So I have a really strong product background, product marketing, strategy, and coming up that way. You could come in through a hardcore demand gen, and I would argue that only in the last 10 years, demand gen has changed so much with how we generate demand. It's a very analytical, data science oriented kind of path up. Or you can come over from the other side, which for me includes creative, agency, comms, brand.
I love that.
And I think if you're going to be successful as a CMO, it's rare that someone will have come up through all of those. Like, that's just not possible. So what you have to be good at is a couple things. One, know what you're not good at, where your weaknesses lie, and hire a team. Always one of my very first hires, both at Domo and at Pluralsight, or my first person to get in is, nestled in next to me on leadership, is somebody wickedly creative. And I had that at Domo. I have an amazing partner in Brett Barlow. He's our chief brand officer, and we're just a really nice complement. And then I think the other thing is you just have, and this is where Shannon, I would say, is you just have to be wicked smart. Like, Shannon is really bright, and so she can pick up all those other areas, and she's a leader.
Right.
So I think if you're somebody who has kind of a love of learning, knows your weaknesses, brings in people to help you where you don't have strengths, and that's really what it's all about.
I love that. The 3 paths to CMO, like come up from demand gen, come up from product marketing, come up from brand, and then fill in the gaps. Can you say more about the chief brand officer role? Is that at Pluralsight now?
That's at Pluralsight.
And was that role there before you were there?
So Brett was at the company before I was there, and he was running marketing. And when I came on board, I recognized he was just this amazing individual, and he had a ton of skills I didn't have. And I talked him into staying. He could have gone to be a CMO at a ton of companies. He was a CMO at Skull Candy. I mean, he has a legit record, but I was like, I have this individual, and I look at what Pluralsight's going to do over the next couple years. It would be awesome to have a senior leader that is really great at that. And so we crafted out this role of chief brand officer, and I talked him into staying, and it's been almost 2.5 years now, and it's been a good journey for the two of us.
So you come in with the math and science, and then he comes in with the crazy, like, here's how we can do this thing.
Yeah, and I think we push each other. Like, I also had an enterprise software background. It's all, of my 25 years, all of it's basically been in enterprise software. And Brett has more of a consumer background. So Pluralsight has a model that we sell about 20% of our business is technically B2C, but I call it B2D, business to developer. And Brett has, I've learned things from him on that side, and I think he's learned a lot from me on the enterprise, how to work with the Gartners and the Forresters. We put on our first enterprise user conference. Like, these were things he hadn't done before, so it's been a good combo.
So I want to talk about a couple things in there. One, let's talk about the user conference stuff first,
Okay.
because I noticed in your perfectly written bio, which is your PR team did a great job. It seems like every place you've gone, one of the first things you do is kick off a user conference. Say more about why. Like, I'm asking because we've invested heavily in our conference. You spoke this year, and that's a key piece for us moving forward. And I think since we've done that, it's been amazing. But I'm interested in, if you went somewhere else, not that you're leaving, you have 3 years left.
I do.
Why would you go, what is it about a user conference? Why would you go do that right away?
Yeah, so I think a couple things, having worked at Oracle and SAP, they had big user conferences, and I saw the brilliance of bringing your customers together and the loyalty and the love and the learnings. So I had that kind of history. And then, you look at the companies who are doing this the best, look at Salesforce and what they've done with Dreamforce. I mean, it's amazing and impressive. And so for me, the things, this is why I think a user conference is so important. And somebody asked me the other day, well, we could spend that money on a bunch of dinners and probably make more in revenue. And it might be true at that moment in time, but a user conference, it becomes the guiding motion for the company. It's an employee rally cry. It's your product team saying, once a year, this is our big time, literally on stage to and it pushes product schedules. It brings, for us at Pluralsight, it brings together our buyers, our end users. It brings together technology leaders who just want to learn, our authors, so the people that are the experts that teach courses on Pluralsight, they're there so you can learn from the best, and your partner community. I mean, it's all right there in this goodness that happens. And it's interesting because we did a campaign for our sales team this year internally. We went and looked at stats, and we called it the 3X campaign. And if you had a customer who attended Pluralsight Live, you had 3X the deal size. So 3 times larger.
I love that.
And then I went to Salesforce and I met with the woman who runs Dreamforce for them, and even Salesforce, who's I don't know how many years they've been doing Dreamforce. It's almost 200,000 people go. They run a 2 to 3X campaign as well. They started talking about this, and I was like, "What?"
So that's if you're in sales to get butts in seats, to get your prospects there, or customers for future license.
So when you're talking to the sales reps, the best way to get tickets sold to a conference is to sell them on contract.
Yeah.
So in order to incent a sales rep to sell tickets on contract, because they're worried about, as they should be, about license revenue and all those things.
Yeah.
You go to the sales rep and say, look, Bob, if you're going to sell tickets to this, because for every customer that attends, they're going to have 3 times in Pluralsight, 3 times the deal size as the people who don't attend.
Yeah.
You want bigger deal sizes, you want more commissions, you want more money, send it to Pluralsight Live. Dreamforce does the same thing. They have a 2x campaign they run. She said it used to be 3x, now they've gotten bigger, it's 2x. But if you attend Dreamforce, 2x the deal size.
And do the reps selling tickets, or are they giving them away as part of like you buy X and then I'm going to throw 5 tickets in for your team?
No, they sell.
They sell them.
Yeah.
Have you found, do you think that's an important piece of a conference, like selling them versus giving them away? Do you think there's a difference?
Yeah, I do. I think that you look at the overall contract value, and it might be that you give a discount because you occasionally may give discounts on tickets, or you might give discounts on professional services, or you might give a discount on the product. It's all part of the sales negotiation. So do we hold the line that you have to pay 100% full price, MSRP? No, on Pluralsight Live tickets, not always. If we had an account the other day that wanted 100 tickets to Pluralsight Live, because last year they sent 50 people on their tech team, and they got such value out of it. Like, next year we want to send 100 people, you give us a discount. Well, yeah, for 100 people, we'll give you a discount.
We'll fly you there, wherever you want.
Well, I don't know about that, but we'll give you a discount. And so I do think there is discounting, but I think there's something mentally important. There's a big difference in my mind between a free conference and a conference you pay to go to. And there's something in the mind of the person who attends. And studies have shown this. If you pay for something, even if it's a small amount, you're committed. You're going to go. Like you put monetary value to it.
Yeah.
So I think there is a time and a place for free events, but your user conference is not one of them.
And did you split out, you mentioned an enterprise customer conference. Did you do that separate from the Pluralsight Live, or you split out a different event for enterprise, or is this a part of
No,
something
I mean
else?
just businesses in general. So I use that term enterprise holistically.
Yeah.
It is a conference, but we have our developers, so our B2D, we have people who come that they want to come meet the authors that they learn from every day. They want to be inspired by technologists. So we have individuals who come. I'd say that's the smallest part. And then we have users who are users, but not the buyers. And they're at our small accounts all the way up to our largest accounts in terms of size of company. So it's not just a big company conference.
Yep.
And then we have buyers. And I think you have to really think about your audience and create special experiences for them.
We saw, so this is the second year that we did our conference, much bigger. We saw something similar where, like, obviously not all of our customers were there, only a small percentage of them were there, but it was something like 1/3 of our revenue for the year was in the room that day.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable.
It is.
When you think about the experience. And also I think to your point about if you stack up all those dinners, there's no marketability of those dinners, right? Like it's having that one day of the brand, of the buzz.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the brand lift you get out of it.
Crazy.
So your social media lift, your impressions from press, we had 14 press individuals attend our conference. They all wrote multiple articles. I mean, just like it was ungodly the amount of articles that we had come at that time. You look at social media, we work closely with our vendors on amplifying our organic and a little bit of paid around that, because if we put a little bit more paid to Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn during that time, it gets more than paid during a time that we're not also having the lift from the conference. So there's a ton of goodness.
Yep. What do you think for you? Is there something for you, like what's the gap between CMO, VP, Director, working all your way down? Like, what are the different jumps that somebody has to make? Like, this is coffee with a CMO. We want to like dig into that stuff. Like, how does somebody? What is the jump that somebody has to make? Like, what's the biggest difference you've seen in your career? What's the change, right? Like, why at Pluralsight, for example, why couldn't the chief brand guy, right? He could have run marketing, but they found you. Especially in the enterprise space, which is where we're in, like enterprise sales, in that type of org, what do you need out of a CMO?
I think there's not one straight path. So I can't tell you like, hey, you need to be a manager of this, a director of that, a VP of this, then CMO. I think if you went and talked to, you mentioned Shannon, I could mention a whole bunch of other CMOs that I respect, and they've all had differing jobs. And I actually think it's worthwhile to have positions that aren't just in marketing. So I had product positions and I had engineering positions, and I have not had sales experience, but I think having sales experience is really valuable because they're your partner and your ally. No matter how great of a marketer you are, if the sales team doesn't hit revenue goals, you failed. You failed. And so if you don't have this great relationship with sales, and so, for example, right now at Pluralsight, I lead our inside sales team that cleans all the leads. So we call them our account development managers and our business development representatives, ADM and BDRs. I think it's close to 100 people that clean leads for the outside team. And having sales, and then I also run our digital revenue. So I hold a number for the amount of revenue that closes on our site, which is about a quarter of Pluralsight's revenue. I own that number. Like I have a quota, I have a target on my head as a public company to making sure that we can report that out to the street. So I think there's different jobs along the way. I don't think a straight path in marketing is always the only path. It's definitely not the only path. I'm not even sure if it's the best path. So, I think in the book Lean In, they talked about how it's not a corporate ladder, it's a jungle gym. And I love that idea because I think jumping into, getting really great product and thought leadership experience, whether that's on the product team or product marketing, getting really awesome digital experience, understanding what it's like to carry a number. And to partner with sales, whether that's because you were in sales or you supported sales. So I think there's a lot of paths and way there. I don't think there's one.
And even if it's not sales, I think I think just owning a number as in some piece of marketing, if you're in marketing, is so important to see the progression of hey, you're going to own blog traffic, right? And your goal, you have the waterfall, you have everything you need to show blog traffic. Is going to show you, okay, now you've owned that. Can you then apply that same method to selling tickets for an event, right? It's it's a similar motion that you can learn in different pieces of marketing.
Yeah, and I think I talk a lot about this, especially I've had so many CEOs contact me and be like, what should we look for in a CMO? And I've had a bunch of venture capital companies. I'm in town for a venture capital company conference, and they're having me set up meetings with CEOs because they're like, what should I look for in a CMO? And I think the number one most important thing is somebody who can put a number in place and hit it.
Yep.
And that requires it requires a lot of things, but it requires being really data driven. And it's not enough to say blog traffic, because you could have the best blog traffic in the world and you don't hit sales.
Yep.
So who cares?
It has to have some input into revenue.
Yeah, well, or whatever the company is trying to achieve. It might be that your company is like, hey, revenue is blowing the doors, you're doing great on demand, but it's all about getting customers to adopt the product more and use this new feature. So you have to set really, and one of the things I introduced when I joined Pluralsight, which they didn't really have this motion, was being super data driven. So we created an ops team and reporting, and we set budgets and we set targets for the year, and then we have a weekly stand-up where people have 5 minutes to share their numbers, and you get one slide, just numbers of how your business is doing, and it better be numbers that everybody cares about. So I think that's probably the most important skill in today's CMO, is to set a goal that's going to make an impact on the company needle and be able to prove that they've hit it.
Yep. I love that. Is it daily stand-up a Pluralsight thing? You do that today?
We call them, it's a stand-up, but they're actually weekly.
Weekly.
Yeah.
So you have to get up in front of all the rest of the leadership team and say, here's where we're at in marketing.
Oh no, this was within my marketing leadership
marketing team does it.
Yeah, so I host a weekly stand-up with the marketing leaders, and they bring in different people from their team. So
awesome.
The digital gets 5 minutes to stand up, and 1 week it might be the person who runs webinars, 1 week it might be the person who's running all of our content and showing how content is performing. Last week it was the person who runs our B to C to B program. The week before that it was our account-based marketing lead, and it started out where the people were building these 20 slide presentations, and they took 20 minutes, and I was like, this isn't a stand-up. Who wants to stand up through a 20-minute presentation? I want one slide. You get 5 to 10 pieces of data. I want to know the data on how your business is doing.
And have you found that is that a helpful motion for you as the marketing leader to get a sense of what everybody's doing, how the team is feeling, as opposed to having to go through the whatever it takes to meet with everybody? Or
we do the 20. So it's one tactic in a broader program I have. So it starts with me identifying the goals for the year, reporting them to my CEO, and they have to be things that the company cares about. Then we do a whole process for budget to tie to those, and there's targets. And I have pipeline targets, I have revenue targets, and then we assign budget, all that at a granular level, and then we assign that out to the team so that, my person who runs social media on B2B paid, they have a budget, they have a pipeline target, they have to report on that. It goes all the way down to that level. And then, it's part of the process of reporting back on that and how we're doing. I can't just I do look at like weekly, how we start this meeting off is, how are we doing on overall pipeline? How's EMEA doing? How's the US doing? How's enterprise doing versus commercial? We look at the aggregate level. How does marketing versus sales generated? And then we go into the details. I think it's part of a bigger motion of being data-driven organization.
And it probably is an easy way to give everybody ownership, right? Like you own this piece of, and everybody's kind of has a shared metric. If it's pipeline, then you don't have social person talking about this thing and content person talking about this thing. Everybody has some slice of that.
Like I don't care how many, I do care, but I don't really care how many people attended the webinar. I care how much pipeline was at the webinar and how much pipeline you influenced and how much new pipeline do we generate out of that webinar.
How do you go about getting your team the tools to do all that stuff? Because like my guess is the person who's running social, or you hire some new person to run social, they might not know how to go and find out how much pipeline is influenced. Like they're probably great at social, but not great at that piece. Or the person who runs webinars might be great at content and storytelling, but not great at that piece. How have you found a way to like get that thing repeatable?
Yeah, so that's kind of, I was trying to say earlier, like the stand-up in itself isn't helpful unless you have the motion. So it starts with me setting the goals and then working with our finance team, to be honest with you. So the CFO is the CMO's in some ways best friend slash frenemy. Yeah, frenemies.
We love you. I'm just saying, DV and Jim. Right now we're heavy in 2019 planning, and so it's all love.
Yeah.
It's
so
all love.
We've set targets. So we've already worked with head of sales and sales ops, CFO's office and marketing to say, what are the revenue targets by very granular things, new net revenue, renew net revenue, geographically EMEA versus US, commercial versus enterprise. They set all those targets. Then we do a model that says how much pipeline. Then we argue over how much is marketing going to create versus sales. All that's already set for 2019 for Pluralsight. So then I take that, and then also how much budget am I going to get? And that's already been given. And then I take all of that and go back to the team and work with them. We've been given this much money. We have to deliver this much pipeline, and it has to be split up this way. Now you guys, we at the macro level, how much are we going to do on digital? How much is going to go to field? How much is comms, analyst relations? We kind of do the macro, and then they have to come back with plans that are going to hit their targets. And with that money, they each get targets. So you have to build a whole motion. And then the second thing you have to do is we invested in a team that has the data and the analytics and the reporting so that all of those people have that.
Awesome. And is that centralized? Like do you have do they sit with you in like you have marketing ops that sits on your team?
So we did have it within marketing and we organized operations at the company level. So we have a strategy and business operations team that I have dedicated people in that group. They're still part of my headcount. So I am accountable to how much I invest in that or don't invest in that. I own that. Like they're still my cost center, but they sit centrally because it would really not be great if I walked in with numbers from marketing ops on reporting that sales had different numbers. So the operations and the reporting is all within one group, and we work off one song sheet.
Love that. I feel like we could just geek out on all this marketing stuff, but you got lots of things to do. So one thing, as we wrap up, I want to talk about org structure.
Okay.
Do you have a playbook as a CMO now? Like, SAP to Domo to Pluralsight. Do you have a playbook, or if you got a new job in 5 years or 2 years or whatever it is, right? Would you create something new based on what the company needs, or like do you have a playbook of how you run a marketing org and what kind of the staple roles are?
I think it's a combination. Marketing has changed so much every year. It's different. You've got to be nimble with that, and your org has to be nimble. There's roles I have now that are really important that I didn't have at Domo, as an example. And it's just, part of it was my learning, and part of it is the journey that marketing is taking. But I think there are some standard things that, that your experience tells you, like, you want to have an amazing, comms team. Well, let's start at the beginning. Product marketing starts it off. You don't know who your buyer is and how to talk to him and all that. You need an amazing comm team. You need kick-ass brand and content to put your marketing programs together. You got to have digital. I actually believe the field team is one of the most important. It's like we went too far digital, and the field team actually gets you the most revenue.
Yeah.
Like they working with your field marketing team with your field sales, like it's one of the most lucrative things, and it kind of became the redheaded stepchild for a few years because everybody was so excited about all the stuff you could do digital. So I think there are, and I actually believe the CMO should run the team that cleans the pipe. They should own the whole top of the funnel. So your ADM or BDR or whatever acronym you have for those guys that bang the phones and clean the leads.
Sure.
Guys and gals.
Yeah, and you have hundreds of them.
No, we don't
Okay.
have hundreds. We
Okay.
have under 100.
Okay.
But it's, I think the
Is
ADM...
that has to get done manually?
No.
Cleaning leads, or
No.
Okay.
It's a combo. So if you look at your pipeline, the first cut is a clean digitally.
Yep.
And just on data. Like,
Just what came in.
yeah, just what came in, and
Yeah.
you go in and clean, and like, is this a, is Daffy Duck at, if this is a real email address, this is a real phone number, like,
Yeah.
so you can do some clean. Then you tie
Yeah.
it to your accounts in Salesforce. Like, do we already have this person? Are they an account we can tie? Like, you can do all that with data cleansing. You can augment that with information. Then you start to put them in nurture tracks, and you
Yep.
do that digitally, and they bubble up.
Yep.
If they don't, if the CTO of the largest company we're going after comes in, I'm not going to nurture him and bubble him up if somebody's calling him.
Right now.
But but everybody else.
And that layer, whatever you call them, BDR, SDR, whatever, they own that piece, like enrolling them, or they clean it and then pass it?
No. So in marketing, we have lead scoring. We put a ton of extra information around, then we lead score. Based on that lead score, it will either go straight to somebody to call, which is very rare. Most likely it will go through some kind of a nurture track, and it will have to bump up its score until it's like, hey, that lead is now scored good enough, somebody can call it.
Awesome.
And then you have your team that mines your database of leads that have, gone to the database. They've been nurtured and nothing happened. And the BDRs can go in and pull any of that, and we create campaigns for them, and they're the outbound team. So we have both an inbound and an outbound.
So nurture runs out at some point, 60 days, 90 days, a year, whatever it is, and then then they can go dig into that pool of people.
They can mine it.
Who
and
writes,
we help them
who
mine
writes
it.
all the nurture copy?
This is an interesting discussion, and
Yeah.
it's been at every company different. I believe you have to have standard nurture tracks.
By like persona and...
Yeah, by persona, by industry, by level, by all kinds of things, and marketing writes those. Once you get into an ADM sequence, so say you've gone through the nurture track, and now your SDR, ADM, whatever is they've bubbled up, it's a good enough lead to call. Who creates their emails? And so that's always kind of the friction. So we've said, look, if you're going to do a one-off email, if you're going to take the time, write it yourself. If you're going to put somebody into a sequence, we'll recommend sequences for you, and you can make tweaks and adjustments.
Awesome.
And then we go in and spot check that.
Yeah.
And we have found some egregious behavior and tweaks and
course.
adjustments. So
And
you got
do
to
you-
be pretty good on
Do
monitoring
you own the
it.
performance of those emails, like as a
Yes.
marketer? So you can say, hey, we're going to automate these because...
And I own everything to the point where an outside rep who can actually get the contract signed creates it as an opportunity. So I
Awesome.
own everything at the top
So
of
in
the
an
funnel.
ideal world, the sales rep, either their job is to have a meeting.
Yes. Well, no, their job is to have a meeting, and out of that meeting to say, yes, I'm going to, this meeting I had, I'm going to make an opportunity out of it. And when he or she says, yeah, this has, whatever metrics, budget, authority, need time, whatever they say, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to, and when that sales rep more importantly says, this is such a good opportunity, I'm willing for my boss to hold me accountable to closing it, I'm going to put it in my pipe. That's when the marketing, that's when I no longer, not that I no longer feel accountable, but I've generated pipeline.
Yeah. This is amazing. This is an MBA. This is your MBA in marketing and ops. Heather, thank you for doing this.
Excellent.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
We're out of here.
All right, it was a great time.
This has been Water with the CMO.